Good day everyone, my name is Brandon Zhang Kailun. Today I will present my final year project entitled Board Gender Diversity, Risk Governance and Corporate Risk-Taking Evidence from Malaysian Listed Companies. This study examines how board characteristic and risk governance mechanisms influence corporate risk-taking among Malaysian listed technology companies. This presentation covers the introduction, development of hypothesis, methodology, result and analysis, discussion, recommendations, limitations, and conclusions. Corporate risk-taking is important because it affects firm growth, competitiveness, and long-term sustainability. Technology firms operate in highly uncertain environments and frequently engage in innovations and technological investments. Therefore, effective corporate governance is essential in guiding risk-related decisions. Previous studies reported mixed findings regarding the effects of governance mechanisms on corporate risk-taking. In addition, evidence from Malaysian technology firms remains limited. Therefore, this study extends the work of SILA 2016 by examining board gender diversity, board independence, risk management committee, board meeting frequency, and CEO duality. The study addresses inconsistent findings in previous literature and the lack of Malaysian evidence. The objectives are to examine the effects of board gender diversity, board independence, risk management committee, board meeting frequency, and CEO duality on corporate risk-taking. This study contributes theoretically by extending SILA 2016, empirically by providing evidence from Malaysian listed technology companies, and practically by providing insights for companies, investors, and regulators. Next, I will discuss the theoretical foundation, conceptual framework, and hypotheses developed. This study is grounded in agency theory. Agency theory suggests that conflict of interest may arise between managers and shareholders due to the separation of ownership and control. Therefore, corporate governance mechanisms are needed to monitor managerial behavior, reduce agency problem, and align managerial decisions with shareholders' interests. Based on this theory, board gender diversity, board independence, risk management committee, board meeting frequency, and CEO duality may influence corporate risk-taking. Based on this theoretical foundation, the next slide presents the conceptual framework of the study. Corporate risk-taking is the dependent variable. The independent variables are board gender diversity, board independence, risk management committee, board meeting frequency, and CEO duality. 5 hypotheses were developed based on prior studies and the proposed conceptual framework. This study adopts a quantitative research design using secondary data. The sample consists of 30 technology companies listed on Bursa Malaysia from 2016 to 2025, resulting in 300 firm year observations. Data were analyzed using SPSS. There has 4 selection criteria. First is listed on Bursa Malaysia during study period. Second is classified under technology sector. Third is annual reports and governance disclosures available. And the last is financial data for variable measurement available. Corporate risk-taking is measured using total liabilities divided by total assets. The governance variables are measured using board compositions and board characteristics. I will now present the findings of the study. This slide presents for the descriptive statistic for the study variables based on 300 firm year observations. The average proportions of female director is 16.65%, indicating relatively low gender diversity among Malaysian technology firms. Board independence records an average of 50.56%, suggesting that most firms complied with MCCG recommendations. In addition, 72% of the firms have a separate risk management committee, while CEO duality is observed in 21% of the observations. The average board meeting frequency is 4.87 meetings per year. Finally, the mean corporate risk-taking ratio is 0.2631, indicating a moderate level of risk-taking among the sample companies. The normality and multicollinearity assumption were satisfied. VIF values range from 1.006 to 1.048, indicating no multicollinearity issue. Now, I will present the Pearson correlation analysis between the independent variables and corporate risk-taking. The results show that board gender diversity has a significant negative relationship with corporate risk-taking, with a correlation coefficient of negative 0.167. This suggests that firms with greater female representations tend to engage in low levels of risk-taking. Board independence and CEO duality both exhibit significant positive relationships with corporate risk-taking. Among them, CEO duality records the strongest positive correlations with a coefficient of 0.232. However, risk management committee and board meeting frequency do not show significant relationships with corporate risk-taking. The regression result provides support for 3 out of the 5 proposed hypotheses. Overall, the regression model is statistically significant with an FF value of 8.737 and a p-value below 0.001, indicating that the independent variables jointly explain corporate risk-taking. In addition, the R-square value is 0.129, suggesting that 12.9% of the variation in corporate risk-taking is explained by the 5 governance variables included in this study. H1 is supported, indicating that board gender diversity has a significant negative effect on corporate risk-taking. H2 is also supported, showing that board independence has a significant positive effect on corporate risk-taking. H3 and H4 are not supported because risk management committee and board meeting frequency are not statistically significant. Finally, H5 is supported, indicating that CEO duality has a significant positive effect on corporate risk-taking. CEO duality also records the highest beta coefficient, making it the strongest predictor in this study. Several important findings can be highlighted from this study. First, board gender diversity has a significant negative relationship with corporate risk-taking. This suggests that female directors may contribute to more cautious decision-making and stronger monitoring of managerial actions. Second, board independence is positively associated with corporate risk-taking. This indicates that the independent directors may encourage firms to pursue strategic opportunities and calculated risks that create value for shareholders. Third, CEO duality has a significant positive effect on corporate risk-taking. When one individual holds both the CEO and chairperson positions, managerial influence becomes stronger, which may lead to greater risk-taking behavior. In contrast, risk management committee and board meeting frequency were found to be insignificant, suggesting that the existence of these governance mechanisms alone may not be sufficient to influence corporate risk-taking decisions. Now, I will discuss the recommendation, limitations, and conclusion of this study. Based on the findings, several recommendations can be proposed. Companies should continue increasing female representations on boards because greater gender diversity may improve governance effectiveness and encourage more prudent risk-taking decisions. Firms should also ensure that independent directors possess relevant expertise and industry knowledge so they can contribute effectively to strategic decision-making. In addition, organizations should carefully evaluate CEO duality and consider separating the CEO and chairperson roles to strengthen board independence and oversight. Finally, firms should focus on improving the effectiveness of risk governance practices and the quality of board meetings rather than simply increasing the number of meetings held. Despite its contributions, this study has several limitations. First, the study focused only on Malaysian-listed technology companies, which may limit the generalizability of the findings to other industries. Second, only 5 governance variables were examined, while other factors may also influence corporate risk-taking. Third, the study relies on secondary data obtained from annual reports and corporate disclosure. Finally, the study covers the period from 2016 to 2025, and governance practices may evolve over time. In conclusion, This study examined the effects of board gender diversity, board independence, risk management committee, board meeting frequency, and CEO duality on corporate risk-taking among Malaysian-listed technology companies. The findings reveal that board gender diversity has a significant negative effect on corporate risk-taking, while board independence and CEO duality has significant positive effects. However, risk management committee and board meeting frequency were found to be insignificant. Among all variables, CEO duality emerged as the strongest predictor of corporate risk-taking. Overall, this study extends the framework of CILA 2016 and contributes empirical evidence on the role of corporate governance mechanisms in influencing risk-taking behavior within the Malaysian technology sector. Thank you for your attention.